Alright everybody, welcome back to the Gundam Lab today, and I'm going to go over a card that just got released. It's one of the cards I've been using since GDO1. It's one of my favorite units, especially the one that's currently in Absolute Carnage. That deck is a lot of fun to play, but this card changes the game a little bit for how you would run that particular unit. So, before we get into it, if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. It's really cool to interact with you all. It's cool to see this channel grow, and it's cool to see what you all have to say about the videos that I create here. I really think that what I'm producing here is a lot of fun. It leans into my skill set, and I quite enjoy it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the card that I'm bringing up today is the Unicorn Gundam 02 Banshee Destroy Mode. Unlike its predecessor, that is the blue version of this. It's currently now a purple version of this card that is one cost higher, same level. So you get a level 6, cost 5 unit with the same stat line, surprisingly, which is a 5-4. That stat line has been a thing of topic, much like Kshatriya. You have this boss unit that's supposed to be kind of an in-game unit or board clear unit, and you get a stat line of 5-4. That means even with paired with red Marida, it becomes a 7-5, and the new purple Marida or ST12, it becomes a 6-6, which both are good stat lines for very different reasons, right? The 7-5 is going to allow you to swing into a lot of things, swing up into a lot of things, and take some stuff out. But the 6-6 is going to be able to take a little bit more damage. Pros and cons. But the stat line's really been a thing of question. I think this should have been a 5-5. I really do believe that the stat line makes this thing a little too squishy, and in range of a lot of counter commands that the blue variant with the red deck would have really heavily utilized and leaned into versus what this one's capable of doing. Let's go and break this card down a little bit more. And so we've got its first effect. During pair, activate main. Exile 4 cards into trash from the game. The unit gains first strike during this turn. That's first strike on your main phase, or your main step, and on your turns. No longer do you have to have 12 cards in the trash to get first strike, but you do miss out on that secondary swing. So they took that away, but now you're able to go ahead and just sacrifice 4 cards or exile 4 cards from your trash and get first strike every turn that you want. That's kind of cool, but you need to feed it, right? You need to feed the card. And so how do you do that? Well, you can airframe seizure, you can use Minerva, you can use Gundam Exile Repair, and a few other cards that really pitch stuff to the trash if that's what you're looking for. Or ST12, her ability, or the Marida link can go ahead and do that for you too. So you're easily able to fill the trash and stack it to take advantage of those first strike swings every turn if you'd like. Following that, you have another, which is a cool ability, I think. On the activation step, or the action step, you go ahead and activate, exile 4 cards from your trash. This unit gains suppression during this battle. That's a cool little ability, but I think what's going to happen is people that are running blockers, they're going to know to block this. They're going to know to get in the way of this. They're going to want to get in the way of this. So you're never going to truly be able to pop this off unless you clear the board. Unless the board is gone, you control the board in such a state that they have nothing to block it with. And then during your action step, you go and exile the 4 cards, and then you give it suppression, and then hit the 2 off the top, and then move on. Do I think this was a great thing? In practice, we'll see. Since MSA doesn't have the previews up just yet, there's no way to know. So you can build this deck in theory, and in theory it should work, but theory is only as good as writing it down on paper. You really need to test this out, and you need to see it in real life experiences. You need to see it in practical matches and really put it through its paces to to fully utilize its ability and understand where it fits in the current context of this game and the decks you build. Now, what I think can help with this, right, is you want to fuel your trash for this to work. And so you want cards that are going to enable that. Those draw cards I mentioned earlier, the unit I mentioned earlier, or you can use something like Widespread Annihilation that could come into play with this card. Since Widespread Annihilation hits the level 4 and lower, you're able to go ahead and knock out a big chunk of the board, your board specifically. So the goal, I think, in my mind, when you're deck building around this card, is to fill your deck with level 4 or lower units. Maybe a level 5 to kind of like get that curve you want, so you have a little bit more, so you can swing up like a Kshatriya or something, so you can swing up, do some damage. But you're going to want to fill your deck with level 4 or lower units. Why? Because you want that Widespread Annihilation to take effect and to fill your trash and give you that Banshee's ability to swing for first strike or suppression. You constantly want to see that. You want to see that. It's like Lupus, right? You want to fill your trash with Tekkadan and Teiwaz units, so you fill it up with Tekkadan and Teiwaz units, and you start hitting for 2 damage without having to swing. That's a pretty powerful ability. That enables this card to do, I wouldn't say the same effect, but it gives it the ability to have some kind of utility in that sense. And so you want to go ahead and use cards that are going to enable that ability, and then put stuff in your trash all the time. You want to fill it up all the time. You want this thing to constantly swing and do these things almost every turn it's out. So you're going to be filling up the trash any way you can. So I think this card's going to see a lot of play. I think it's going to see primarily a lot of play in purple-red. Do I think it could work in purple-blue, or blurple, as we've coined that term? I do think it can. I believe that if you do run this in blurple, you're not going to want to run the other Banshee. I don't think, based off some conversations I've had, I don't think the two are going to play well together. I think one's going to require you to have trash so it can swing twice or 3 times. The other is going to require you to have trash so it can exile from it and utilize its abilities. And neither one of them are going to play very nice with one another. And you're going to kind of counter each one of those cards. So I think if you're utilizing Banshee Destroy mode in purple and blue, you're going to want a lot of draw engine. You're going to want to see a lot of cards come out of your hand, and you're going to want to play pretty low to the ground stuff, especially with Earth Federation. So would I recommend pairing this with like Lane Aim and Penelope? Maybe you could. You can get that draw engine. You can see more stuff to pitch out of your hand every turn. That'd be kind of cool by turn 7. But you're going to see like the gems, the Gem 3s, some other units, Rizels. You want to see those smaller units that you can start hitting your opponent with and losing faster and gaining some value there. So whenever this hits a board, you're able to go and utilize it and do some pretty good damage with it. My overall impressions of this card is to be determined, right? We really don't know what it's capable of because it hasn't been released. It's not available on MSA to test with, and there's no information around what this card is truly capable of until you play it. So do I like this card? Do I think it's a better replacement than the blue Banshee Destroy mode that's out there? In my personal opinion, no, I don't. Do I like it? I think it's going to be a fun card, but I don't think it's a good replacement to the blue Banshee Destroy mode that's out there. I think it has a lot of cool effects. I think it's a great utility card. If I had played this, or if I would play this in purple-red with ST12 and Marida, I think I would go heavier on like the baby Kshatriya, maybe the Shurzum Gallus or something with a Neo Zeon link or whatever, or a Cyber Dude type link, like a Shamblo, so I could start using like ST12 and Marida. But this card I'd probably put in 2-3 max to not overextend that curve and to make it kind of feel weird. So whenever you curve into it, you have like this stack of Banshees in your hand you don't know what to do with. And I think that's what's going to happen with this card, is it's going to sit in your hand, and I mean, you can put 2 on the board, but then you're cycling through 8 cards a turn to feed this thing to do some stuff. And You know, is that worth it to you? Are you willing to sacrifice that many cards in trash to do 2 swings or a swing per each Banshee? Is that something you're willing to do and willing to utilize in order to get that kind of damage done? Personally, me, I'm not sure yet. It's hard for me to do that because I rely so heavily on my trash recycling, and that blue Banshee is still, to me, one of the better units in the game. I know that's a hot take to some degree, and there might be better units, but I still think the blue Banshee is the better of all the unicorns that are out, even to date, including the level 8 Repair 3. I know I said it, but I did say it. I still think it's the better of all the unicorns out there. So that's it, really. That's my analysis of this card. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are around this card, and when it first got announced. Having had some time on it, a couple of days to think about it, what do you really think about this card, and would you use it? How would you use it? Where would you use it? And do you think this card is competitive enough to be in NTCs, regionals, and so on and so forth? Let me know. Anyway, that's it for this evening. That's it for this video. Again, if you could, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'd like to interact with you all, and y'all keep on building some really cool shit out there. I'll talk to you later.